Hey Graham fam, welcome to Draw My Life, Gabriella edition. Here I'm going to draw my life up until I met Nathan, and then we're going to do our own Draw My Relationship. So here it goes. I was born on February 22nd, 1996, in central Illinois. I lived in a relatively small town. She had two parents. One is Ron Jr., that's my dad. Yes, he has a funky mullet with red hair, which was totally cool back then, but now I'm like, Dad, why'd you have a mullet? And then there's my mom, who had long brown hair. I don't know if she had long brown hair then, but her name is Letitia. I'd have to ask her if she had long brown hair. Then I have one half brother named Andrew, but I don't call him my half brother because it's weird. He's a whole person, so he's my whole brother. And we grew up in two separate houses. I was raised by my mom, and he was raised by our grandma. And it was great because even though we lived apart, we still were really close, and that was awesome. Except what wasn't awesome was the fact that, unlike most kids, my parents weren't married, and my mom and dad didn't really get along. So for most of my childhood, they were always splitting up, and dad was away, and it was just me and mom, and it made me really sad. But what made me even more sad was when I got to elementary school, this really small elementary school where everybody knew your business. They didn't really like me because I had a different last name than my mom and my brother, and my parents weren't together and they were always split up, and they thought that was really weird, but that was normal for me, so I used to talk about it a lot, and a lot of the kids told me that I couldn't play with them. That made me really sad, but it didn't make me nearly as sad as junior high made me sad. But there were also some good times in junior high, which you probably won't see, because junior high was just a terrible time for me. I got into a lot of trouble in junior high, and by a lot, I mean I spent almost every night after school in the gym on detention. I sat there all the time because I was always late to class, or I got in trouble throwing things. One time I even counted up at had over 20 detentions. Most of them from not dressing in the locker room for gym. I hated dressing in the locker room. I didn't have a perfect skinny body like all the other girls, and it made me self conscious. Then there was this one time that my best friend told me that this boy that I had a crush on also liked me, and it turned out he didn't. But I didn't know that, and I wrote him a letter, and I gave it to him at lunch, and he sat there with all his buddies and made fun of me the entire lunch period, and that started a long year of sadness. Like, I cried a lot. I wanted someone to like me and be my friend, and at one point, I even stopped eating. And I started wearing really baggy, dark clothing, like a black sweatshirt and pants, even in the summer when it was super hot, because I didn't want people to see that I had stopped eating and that I was increasingly growing skinnier because I was sad. And I didn't even know how to come out of it. I didn't know that there were people I could talk to, and I lost over 20 pounds, and it was scary, but nobody knew. And eventually in eighth grade, I thought, this is my chance to get a do over. And I got involved in some activities like photo club, and I even got my first boyfriend through a bowling team that I was on, and he was really cool. And we had similarities with music, and he was someone I could always talk to. And at the time, I thought that I loved him, even. And it was great. We were always happy, but then it got really sad, and he got abusive, and he hit me, and he always told me, well, it's your fault. Maybe you should stop being stupid. And I thought that was okay for some time. But then over the summer, I realized that that's not okay. And I realized freshman year of high school was a do over with lots of new people, and I even made a lot of friends. And I got involved in some really great activities like float building. And I hung out at football games and went to games, and just I made lots of friends. And I even met this one boy who quickly became my boyfriend. He was best friends with my brother, and I thought that was super cool because we would always hang out together. And he had really long hair, just like me, and he always wore a cap, which was weird. But he was my first love, and that was special, so I was excited. And I really did care about him, and he was so cool, and he cared about me, and everything was great. It was a year and a half of just pure happiness most of the time. I mean, we fought, like most people do, but he was the best. And soon came sophomore year, and I was still with him. And my mom also found love, and she got married to this cool guy, and I now had a stepdad, which was awesome because he also had three kids. And one of them is my age. Her name is Megan. She's the oldest. And then she has a younger sister named Jackie, and then Alex, who's the youngest. And I didn't know how to be a big sister, so I thought it was really strange, and I didn't know how to do it, so I just really didn't. And I was close to Megan, and we had a lot of similarities, and she was my best friend. And soon after my 16th birthday, I got my very first job, which was exciting. But it really wasn't that exciting because I hated that job. I had to do terrible things. They really weren't terrible. I just really didn't enjoy them because it took a lot of time, and I wanted to be with my boyfriend, and I wore this really awful polo blue shirt and khaki pants, and I did awful jobs like pushing carts in the dead of summer. It was super hot. We were pushing carts into the building, and I had to bag groceries and help customers take their stuff out to their cars, and I had to clean the bathrooms and mop the floors and pick up rugs, and it was just ugh, I hated it. But I also did it so my mom didn't have to pay for my braces all by herself. And honestly, I hated my job, but I met someone really cool there. But before I met that someone cool and got really close, me and my boyfriend broke up in July, and I really hurt him, and it makes me sad because I broke his heart, but he's happy now, so that's just the way things work. But until I can keep the story going, it's to be continued